Hi friends, it's Sarah from Sunset Bow, and today I am going to be opening a deck that I received the day before yesterday, and it's a really special one. So I kind of took my time kind of thinking about it and deciding, how I wanted to open it. So this is a deck that I had actually wanted for a pretty long time, and then my timing in ordering it was absolutely horrible. So this is the Tyldwick Tarot. This is a deck by Neil Lovell, and as a lot of you probably know, Neil recently passed away. And I ordered this deck, I think, 2 days before finding out that he had passed away. So really atrocious timing. But it was one of those things where a member of his family posted on Facebook noting that Neil had passed, and giving his contact information, for those who had outstanding orders. So I contacted him and, offered to cancel the order if it wasn't a situation where they wanted to continue, fulfilling the outstanding orders for Neil's decks. And instead, he very graciously offered to still send it to me, and he did. And so I received it the day before yesterday. And so this deck is the Tyldwick Tarot, and it's a deck that I had my eye on for a really long time. This, as a lot of you probably know, this is a deck where each of the cards is depicted by a little sort of vignette. It looks like a spot in maybe an old house, filled with antiques, and each card is sort of a different image of maybe a different room or a different, sort of small vignette of objects from the house. And it always, just every time I saw images from this deck, it just gave me chills. Like, it seemed so intensely magical to me, this concept of a deck that could serve as almost sort of a portal into a place, and for me, I one of my favorite things, I love touring old houses. I love antiques. The thought of walking around an old house and being able to look at all of the objects and think about the people who have lived there and what their lives were like, and just kind of commune with the with the lingering personality or spirit of people who once lived in a place is such a powerful thing to me. Like, it's intensely powerful to me. And so this is a very expensive deck, and I'd been looking at it for a very long time and had kind of been saving it for a special moment in my life, and finally decided to go ahead and order it. And then, of course, it turned out to be the worst possible timing. And I want to thank Neil's relative, who did send me the deck, for being so incredibly gracious at sending it to me in the midst of what I'm sure was an absolutely terrible time for them. I'm just, it's a treasure. I will treasure it, and I'll think of Neil and his talent, and the tragedy of that loss every time I use it. So I wanted to open it and sort of show what this deck is like. I did just tear open earlier the packaging just to make sure that it was okay when I picked it up at the post office, but I'll go ahead and set that aside. So here is the deck. It comes in a beautiful custom box, and you can kind of see from the box here a little bit of kind of what the look of this deck is like. But I'll go ahead and we'll get into it here. So I'm just going to pull off the shrink wrap. This is a real, I think, what you might consider to be a luxury deck in terms of the print quality, in terms of the quality of the gilding. It's really just insanely beautiful. Okay, so here is the deck. I changed my setup and my lighting a little bit too, so hopefully we can get a little bit better look at these amazing cards. But here is the backing. So you can see it has this beautiful 6-pointed star pattern on it, along with quite a bit of aging done on it. So very beautiful. And then look at this. My understanding is that this deck is actually edged in real gold leaf. And so you can see here just the incredible quality of the gilding on this deck. And I have to say the print quality is absolutely amazing too. I mean, they're not matte, you know, they're glossy cards, but they've got this lovely slippery feel to them. You know, they don't have that sort of sticky feel that glossy cards can have sometimes. And just absolutely stunning print quality. So you know, for this deck, I intend to use this deck. I'm not so much probably going to be reading with this deck like normal. You know, I don't see myself like doing a lot of heavy duty shuffling of it or anything like that. Which will hopefully, you know, keep this gold leaf pristine. You know, I don't buy decks that I don't use. I will be using this deck, but I see my use of it as more of a way to a different way to access card meanings, and using it, you know, on an individual card basis in a way more akin to path working or things of that nature. So I'm not planning to do any kind of serious shuffling of this deck, you know, just kind of handling it gently and making sure that it all stays nice. But because it is, you know, it is a very expensive deck, but it is a real just work of art in terms of the production quality of it. So let's start taking a look at some of these individual cards. And so here you can see, you know, again, what we've got in each of these images is a vignette of an interior or an exterior. Some of them are exterior fountains and things of that nature, but they're all structures. You know, they're all buildings or you know, objects or you know, places where a person has lived. So I love that aspect of it. It's just something that feels so powerful to me to see these images of the interior of a home. And again, you know, the idea that a person has lived in a place is always such a powerful thing to me. And so I absolutely love this. Okay, so so here's the Fool card, and you can sort of get a sense right off the bat of, you know, what kind of artwork this is. We've got a mirror here above a fireplace with this, you know, kind of ghostly face of a harlequin in it, and then there's some butterflies perched on the gilt of the mirror, and then we've got, you know, a little figure here that looks like it maybe is about to step off of an edge. We've got a little dog here, a little dog figurine. So, you know, it's got a lot of the traditional imagery, but just done in very much of a you know, in the style of an interior vignette. So beautiful. And so here we have the Magician, and again, it's very much a sort of traditional magician's table here. We can see we've got a table, we've got a cup, a wand, a knife, and a disc on the table, and then in the background it looks like almost a puppet show, and it looks like it's actually characters from the Commedia dell'arte, the Italian sort of stock characters of comedy like Harlequin, Columbine, Pierrot, things like that. And so that almost gives you a little bit of a sense of, you know, the magician's kind of ability to manipulate the world around him a little bit. Again, it's a little bit of that sort of trickstery meaning of the magician with this puppet show in the background. It's really cool. And here is the beautiful High Priestess card. And again, you know, there's some traditional imagery going on for sure. We've got the two pillars here. I really very much love in the background here how it looks like there's been this carving on the wall that's been plastered over, and it's just the plaster's kind of worn away, and so that carving on the wall is just kind of coming back into view, but it's been obscured. You know, there's been some layer of mystery over it, which is, of course, you know, very, very High Priestess. And here's the beautiful Empress, a fountain in a garden. My guess is that this is probably a recognizable goddess. I'm not entirely sure who it is, so I am probably going to want to look that up. But yeah, and you can see there's so much lushness and growth and foliage all around it. That's so beautiful. And here's the Emperor, which, I mean, what a wonderful image this is for the Emperor. I mean, we have a bust of who probably is an emperor, and again, I would like to look it up and see if I can figure out who specifically it is. But you know, we've got you know, the globe, we've got an armillary sphere showing the movement of the heavens, and then all of these books. So it's like all of the authority of both worldly, heavenly, you know, in terms of knowledge that the emperor has, and that's really remarkable. And here's the Hierophant. The Hierophant is the Pope, and you know, it's a lovely stone statue in what looks like a chapel. So yeah, perfect Hierophant. And here's the Lovers, and I love this. Look at this. There's a bust, a male bust in the center, and then there's two images of women on either side. So it gives you that very sort of classic lovers, you know, depicting a choice between two people. And here you can see that he's actually looking toward one of them. So that's such an awesome take on it. And here's the Chariot. And I really like how they did this because, or how Neil did this, because you know, we've got a very sort of stationary, static chariot here in terms of, you know, the two sphinxes are statues. The figure in the middle is a statue, but then in the background it looks like we have a tapestry of a hunt. I'm guessing there's deer and there's horses. And so that is what kind of gives you that sense of motion that you normally expect from the Chariot. I like that there's that feeling of motion there. And so here is Justice. Justice is 8 in this deck. And look how lovely this is. I mean, we've got perfect balance here. We've got the scales on the table. So yeah, so very much Justice. And I really like this Hermit. Look, we've got the lantern here. And yeah, this looks like it's almost maybe down in a cellar or in a basement of some kind, just sort of a niche where there's a statue hidden away as the Hermit. I really like that. And the Wheel of Fortune. This is fantastic because there's actually, it's like a water wheel. There's a fountain turning a water wheel. But then we've got also, you know, this sort of circular feel to the way that there's some gargoyles kind of set around in almost a circular formation here that kind of gives you that feeling even of the traditional Wheel of Fortune with different creatures that are shown around the edges of the wheel. So that's really awesome. And here we have Strength. So Strength here is fortitude. And this is really beautiful. So we've got the lion as a fountain, and then we've got a still pool here, which I really like that as strength. I really like that concept that it's a matter of, you know, finding that inner peace and stillness in the face of the kind of unruly emotions and unruly inner thoughts that are encompassed by the lion. And then we've got this little bird here that's just, you know, that's just sitting there peacefully. It's not threatened. You know, it's I really like that. And here we have the Hanged Man. And oh, this is really cool. This is one of those things that you always, you know, executives used to always have on their desks back in the 80s. This is, you know, one of those things where those pendulum frames where you can pull one of the balls and then it makes the ones on the other, you know, that sort of for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction type of symbolism, which is awesome for the Hanged Man, because it sort of indicates that kind of concept that even in motion there is stillness. And then, of course, we've got the actual image of a man upside down here. And here's Death, and it's not named, it's just given the number 13. And it looks like what we've got here is an organ. And wow, there's the image back here. There is actually a skeleton with a scythe or a sickle, just looking quite ghostly in the background there. But it's sort of a funeral organ almost, I would imagine. So here's beautiful Temperance. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a closer look at this one. It's hard for me to see in this lighting exactly what's going on here, but we definitely have the angel. And here is the devil. This is amazing because look, we've got the two people here, the two sort of, you know, the two sort of people in fear. We've got up at the top here the sort of horned face, and there's a horned skull down here, and then there's this mirror, and the surface of the mirror is black, sort of like how, you know, the devil is kind of the darkness in your own soul. You know, the devil is within. You know, when you look within and you see that darkness, that's the devil. I really like that. And here's the tower. And this is quite amazing. So it's like a window with an image of a tower off in the distance, but then there's the glass is shattered in the window, and then around it there are masks. There's even a mask up here. So I don't know if maybe that's symbolizing that you know, when the tower happens, that's when your mask slips off and you become the person you really are. But that's really cool. And here's the star, and this is lovely. We've got this actual star shape here around this fountain that is actually, the water is going into this Greek amphora here in this little niche in the wall outside, and that's really lovely. And here's the moon. How fantastic is this? So, you know, we've got like an image of the moon here in the mirror, but then we do have the two pillars. We have dogs on either side. The fireplace screen has a lobster on it. So it's a very traditional moon, but just in the form of an interior vignette, that's just so wonderful. And here is the sun. So this, I believe, is a Hindu god, and I can't remember the name, but there's something about the sun chariot being pulled by 7 horses, which, yeah, that's 7 horses. So, but I can't remember the name of that god. But again, it's a depiction of the sun chariot of a particular god. And then we've got these lovely vases on either side with sunflowers in them. It's a beautiful, beautiful card. And here's Judgment. And oh my gosh, look at this. These are Jack-in-the-Boxes. So it's actually people popping out of boxes, like popping out of coffins, you know, on Judgment Day. So that's quite funny, actually. That's humorous. I like that. Oh, and then here we've got the world. And so up at the top here we have, you know, the 4 symbols that are around the edges of the world, you know, the lion and the bull and the eagle and the angel. And then we've got the wreath here, and again, this is a Hindu symbol. I think this is, you know, the dance of destruction and creation. And then we've got these, you know, the symbols of sacred geometry down here. I think they stand for like matter, mind, and spirit, I want to say. So that's awesome. These are so beautiful. I'm like blown away by how gorgeous they are. Here is the Ace of Wands and the Two of Wands. I'm wondering what plant this is. I'd like to find that out. And the 3 with this lovely ship model. I love that. And the 4, I like how the 4 is symbolized by paintbrushes and a painter's palette. I really like that. Here's the 5. This looks like an armory. You know, we have a shield here with the, you know, obviously a depiction of some kind of conflict or battle happening. And we have, you know, the actual 5 spears here, which is awesome. And here is the 6, depicting an architectural drawing. That's beautiful. And the 7, it's like we have toy soldiers here guarding a toy box. I love that. And the 8, lovely arrows and a target. That's a great 8 of wands. And here is the 9. So it looks like we have an image of Atlas here holding the world on his shoulders. And one thing that I've realized here too is look at this little symbol here. That's like that's the Marseille configuration of the 9 of wands. And this looks like a scale almost. I'm not quite sure what this is supposed to be. I'm gonna have to take a closer look at that. And then here's the 10. So the 10 obviously is just hard work, you know, chopping wood, which is beautiful. And here's the page, and I think all of the courts have these sort of people images in the center, this sort of ghostly face, which I love. I think that's incredible. And the page looks almost like a mausoleum, which is interesting, an interesting take on the page. Although I think, oh, you know, I think that, let me look at some of the other courts. Okay, yeah, so this is really cool. This is like the elemental symbolism of the courts. So we have the page as a mausoleum, and that looks like it's the same here, for example, in the other pages. Let me just take a quick look. I don't want to look too closely, but yeah, so it looks like we've got the page as a mausoleum. So that's obviously earth of fire here. So, because, you know, elementally pages are earth. We've got the knight as a fireplace, so fire of earth. We've got the queen as a fountain, so water of earth. And the king is this lovely room with a horn in it, so that's air, elementally. So that is really awesome. I love that idea, and I believe, yeah, so here in the cups again, the page is a mausoleum, the knight is a fireplace, the queen is a fountain and pool, and the king is an interior. So yeah, that's we're getting at that elemental symbolism of the courts in these, and that's very cool. I really, really like that. And these images are so beautiful. Like, look how just gorgeous. There's these dragons holding spears on either side of the door to this mausoleum. Again, we've got dragons around the fireplace for the knights, these beautiful red flowers. And there's a tapestry hanging up here, which, yeah, there's some kind of something going on in this tapestry, but there's some kind of action happening, which of course is very, very Knight of Wands. And then the queen is this lovely fountain with all of these tropical plants around it. And then the king, and I love this this French horn centrally here for the King of Wands. And yeah, we've got some birds up here. I mean, that is so beautiful. So here we have the Ace of Cups, and this is just gorgeous. This is the Two of Cups. Oh, it's so beautiful. The Three of Cups. And it looks like there's there's like a family of storks or cranes here nesting in one of the chimney pots. The Four of Cups. That's lovely. And the Five. This is definitely a mausoleum. I'm surrounded by water and all these dark trees. It definitely gives you that sense of sadness and loss. Here's the Six. Yeah, I'm not sure what this means. I'm going to have to give some thought to that. And the Seven of Cups. This is so pretty. That's gorgeous. And the Eight of Cups. This definitely looks like a space that's been abandoned. Sorry, I've got a kitty down here who's wanting to be part of the action. And the Nine of Cups is these lovely perfume bottles. And then here is the 10. All of these different kinds of drinking horns. It looks like there's a strawberry pattern all around. And so again, here is the page. So we have another, again, what looks like a mausoleum here. We have turtles. We have a little pool of water in front, a decorative pool. So Earth of Water. We've got the Knight of Cups here. Gorgeous. These look like dolphin patterns on these two sconces. This is so stunningly beautiful. Here is the Queen. Again, we have dolphins here. And then here is the King with swans. That's so lovely. Whoops, got a kitty joining me. Down you go, sweetie girl. All right, so here is the Ace of Swords. So we have this beautiful hilt here of a beautiful sword. Here is the Two of Swords here. So we have a bird that's free, but it hasn't flown away yet. And then look, there's the symbol, the Marseille configuration of the Two of Swords. Oh, and here we have the 3. Oh, and the 4. It looks like all of these have that symbol. Yep, somewhere in there. The 6. Oh yeah, the 6 does too. So yeah, so here's the 4 of Swords. So again, we've got restfulness here. Recuperation. Here's the 5. So we've got broken windows here. Again, there's clearly been some kind of destructive action taking place here, but we've again got that symbol of the 5 of Swords. So here's the 6. So again, we've got, globes, charts, this sense of moving, of traveling somewhere, and again we've got the little symbol of the 6 there. And here's the 7. And again, we've got the symbol. I'm going to have to look at this a lot more closely to see what's written on this piece of paper. And then we've got this beetle. I'm going to have to look at this a lot more closely. And here's the 8. That definitely gives you that sense of being trapped, certainly. But here's the 9, and again, we've got the symbol there. And this is the only, it's got kind of a ghostly human figure in it. But the place where the light comes in is high up and far away, hard to get to. And here's the 10 of Swords. And this, oh wow, okay. So this, we've got some, what looks like blood on the walls. We've got a razor here. We've got a note. So this looks like someone has committed suicide here in the Ten of Swords. And so here's the lovely page. And again, we've got, you know, beautiful birds up here and the crossed swords. I mean, it's gorgeous, gorgeous. Here's the knight. It's our fireplace. He definitely has a very determined look about him. I love that there's a bellows hanging here for the air that gets blown on the fire that you know, makes the fire burn brighter and hotter. That's awesome. Here's the lovely queen. And here we have harps, and I'm wondering if those are the kinds of harps that are supposed to be, you know, played by the wind. That would make a lot of sense for the Queen of Air. And here's the king. We've got fan here. So again, that airiness, beautiful peacock feathers and butterflies, and that's so gorgeous. And so now here we get into the coins. Here's the Two of Coins. And I love this idea that we've got these two things that are holding this plant up in the air. They're both needed to keep it supported. Here's the Three. This looks like a pattern inlaid into a wall behind some roses. The Four. So this is really interesting. Looks like there are various elemental and astrological symbols around the edges here. And then these sort of Roman numerals in the center here. I'm going to have to think about what all of this means. This deck doesn't come with any kind of guidebook, little white book, anything. It's just, you know, what you can bring to the images is how you interpret them. So, and I know that every element of each of these images was chosen so, you know, so purposely that I'm going to have to, you know, really do some research in some cases to actually fully understand what's going on. But here's the Five of Coins. We've got some chairs sitting outside, so here's the Six of Coins. So again, it's kind of a combination of keep out and come in the case of the Six. We've got a gate, a lovely ornate gate to come through, but then we've got this kind of, you know, barbed chain up at the top here. You can't climb over, you have to be invited in. And here's the lovely Seven in a beautiful garden. We've got rake, tools, you know, definitely there's some work taking place here. Here is the Eight. So yeah, here we have an image of some people like working in a field. So there's definitely that sense of work that you get from the Eight of Coins. Here is the Nine. So it looks like we've got almost a treasure room here. That's really beautiful. And the 10, you know, and here the coins are on this lattice. There's water, there's plant life growing, so we've got kind of this abundance and growth in the 10. And here is the Page. And so again, we've got sort of that feeling of a mausoleum here. There's a wheelbarrow, you know, very much the Page of Coins. Here's the Knight of Coins. But I like in this how, you know, the image back here is just of trees, and, you know, it definitely gives you that earthiness. But then it's still a fireplace here. Here is the Queen. And so in this one we have some frogs, so that, you know, for water of earth, some amphibians is kind of a perfect symbol. And here is the King in this beautiful lushness. It looks like we've got some spice mills here and a monkey, so you kind of get the sense that he is in trade overseas. beautiful flowers and lush plant life again for Earth. It's so beautiful. So, wow, this deck is absolutely incredible. I'm not going to shuffle it again. I'm going to try mix it up really carefully, I think, at some point, so that I can start doing some work with the individual cards. But I just, the artwork on this gives me absolute chills. It's so powerful to me, and again, it does give that feeling that I love so much, of just, walking around an old house and seeing all the objects and thinking about who lived there and who the people are. And I particularly love these sort of like ghostly images in the courts, that just kind of, it makes you think of the actual person that each of these cards symbolizes. I really, really love that. So yeah, this deck is absolutely stunning. I'm so grateful to Neil's family for being so gracious as to send this to me in the midst of such an unbelievably difficult time that they're going through. And I will absolutely treasure this. This is a treasure. It's going to be very precious to me. And I'm so excited to work with it in all of the, many ways that I think that this can really yield for me new insights into the meanings of each of the cards, and to just sit and think about these images and do research on them and see if I can come to a real good understanding of what's depicted in each one of them. So it's almost like a little project, which excites me. So anyway, so the Tyldwick Tarot, what an incredible deck. I'm so thrilled and happy that I have this deck, and I will be, thinking of Neil and sending my best wishes for peace and for healing for his family every time I use this. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.